In this video clip, we're going to show you how to create your own style class. And we're also going to show you how to associate styles to a specific element's ID attribute. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Now, I'm using Expression Web 4. I've already logged in here or opened it up. Again, you can use any editor you want, even Notepad. All this will work in Notepad as well. What I thought I'd show you now is how to copy an existing web page into a new web. So hopefully it'll save us a few minutes of work. So I'm going to go to Site and create new site. Click on New Site, Empty Site, and typically I would click on Browse and find my folder. I already had this out here and I deleted it, so I'm just going to reuse it. I wanted to put a number 2 on there because this is the second time I've tried it. But just click on Browse, find the folder you want to be in, and name your site. Right? I'll click on OK, and it'll create my site for me. All right. Now I've got my root folder right here. And instead of right-clicking and adding a new page, which I could still do, by the way, right-click here, new, right, HTML page, I'm going to bring in an existing page from another site. So if I go out to my Windows Explorer, and I'll find my inline example page or site, I'm going to copy in the first 2 files. Hold the Shift key down, highlight it, right-click, select copy, and then, I could do this in Notepad or right in Windows Explorer as well, but I'll minimize this and come right over here to Expression Web and right click on the root and paste it in. Okay, and let's open it up. So I have default and about. Okay, you can see the about page and the default page. Basically, we have a table here, right, with a couple of heading tags. Let's put another heading tag in here, and we'll just say this is H3, class and ID example, right? Now, in the past, what we've done for internal styles, we've put a style block up here, right? Style, and then using the type attribute, type equals text CSS, and then clicking on the greater than sign will generate the ending style tag for us. Now, what I'm going to show you applies to internal styles, and that's what we're showing you right here. You can also use this with an external style sheet. We could not use this. The classes and the IDs per se with inline styles. So in the past, right, we've put in our HTML element, right, and we've said, we've assigned a style to the element. Let's say font size. We want all the font size to be medium, for instance, right, and so forth. That's what we've done in the past. Now the problem with that, let's say I have 2 H3 tags, right, so H3, and let's say I want the color to be red. Well, again, what's going to happen here is that style will be applied to all of the H3 tags on my page. And if I have an external style sheet, it's applied to every page, right? H3 tags in every page. So one way around that is I could assign or create an ID attribute. Well, first let's take a look what this looks like, right? If I preview this in the browser, right, you can see that both H3 tags are now red. Well, I might want to assign a specific, maybe I want one of the styles or some of the styles to be red or maybe a different color. I could use the pound sign and associate it with an ID of an attribute. Let's do the ID first. So it's, for instance, I could type in ID equals, and maybe this is heading, and I'll just say this is the main heading. So I'm creating, so I have an ID called main heading. Now you can only have this text called main heading once on a page. An ID is an ID, it's unique. So I can't repeat this. In other words, I couldn't have H3 ID main heading again, or table ID main heading. I couldn't do that. I can only use this once. And then up here in the style block, and again I could do this externally as well, I could use the pound sign, heading main, right, and associate a style to that. Color, I don't know, let's make it green, right? And now, this is one way that I could assign a style to a specific ID. I can assign IDs to everything, pretty much every tag. So this is my table. I could say table calendar, for instance, if this was a calendar table, right? And then I could come up here and create a style for it, right? Pound sign, table calendar. Because maybe I have several tables in my web or web page, and I want to assign a specific style to it. Maybe I want to make the width for this one a certain width. Maybe I want to make it, 200 pixels. Make it really small, but other tables I might want something else. Maybe I want to make the background color for this one, yellow. Okay. But if I had another table down here that didn't have that attribute on it, then the style wouldn't be applied to it. So let's save it and see what happens. So if I preview this in the browser, I close out, come back here and refresh, and you can see how that changed. Now, of course, I don't have another table there, right? But I could have put another table out here, and you would see that if I could just put a real quick one out here, right? Table, and we'll just put a one row table in here, right? And we'll just say one row table, and we'll put a paragraph tag between the two so you can see, right? Oops, the difference. Okay, I'll just preview that in the browser. So there's my one row table. I don't have a border or anything around it as well. Okay. So by creating an ID element, you can put an ID element on pretty much every tag, and then I can uniquely assign a style to that ID. All right. So let's look at another, technique you can use for styles. You can create what's called your own class style. So what I could do is I could create a class, and usually when you create a class, you in the style block, or again, internal or external, you would put a period first, and I could say a holiday background. Maybe I have a style for like maybe St. Patty's Day or something like that, where I want the background color to be a certain color. In this case, I want it to be green, right? So I could assign this class to any element on my page. Okay, any element on my page. So for instance, if I go down here, and it won't get too confusing, but let's do it on T-foot. I could just type in class and watch what happens. Since I already have it set up here in the style section, if I put class equals, it should give me a list of all my classes that I have up in my style block. Okay, class background. All right, so what I'm saying is I can assign this class this type of style. And again, I can have more than one thing in here. Maybe I want the font size to be large, right? So whatever styles I want to put in my own style class, now I can assign them to any element that I want, more than one element too. All right, so now if I preview this in the browser, right, and refresh. Oops, did I do it? There we go. So the footer is now green and has a large font, right? Okay, so that's a class style. And again, maybe I could also put the class style on the H1 tag. I could just say class equals holiday background, right? It applies to any tag. Okay, so again, these are just tools you can use. There you go. Now maybe I want the color to be white. Looks like the text doesn't really match up too good, so I would maybe put color. You want a light color, right, with a dark background. So we'll refresh that. Okay, come back here and refresh. There we go. Okay, so two concepts. IDs. I can assign an ID attribute pretty much to any HTML element, and then I could use a pound sign up here, and this has to be the same name, right? Table calendar have to be the same name as the ID, and then I could assign a style to that specific ID, that specific element. Another way to do it, and that of course, because you could have more than one. If you assign it just to the H3 tag, the style would apply to all H3 tags. Another way, technique you can use is to create a class style using a period, and call it anything you want, something descriptive, and then you can create your own styles, and then you could assign that class to any element you want. Okay, any element you want. All right, so that's a brief overview on how to create your own class, style class, and how to associate a style with a specific element using its ID attribute.